I smell iron before I taste my fear. Not the metal, the storm rolling over the Gloamwild like a low growl, promising rain that stings, thunder that remembers. The moss glows faintly beneath my boots, a green bruise under a fractured moon. I keep my steps soft. Quiet is how I've survived. Quiet, and names for plants that can heal or hush a heart mid-beat. But quiet doesn't help when men decide your body is a thing to take. They came at dusk, 3 of them at first, then 5. Rogues who smile with their teeth pressed flat together. They called me wolfless, like an open door with no lock. They laughed when I said I don't shift. They didn't laugh when I cut one's cheek with evening thorn. He bled black under the biolight. He told me I'd pay. I run. I do not scream. Screaming invites hope, and hope gets loud. The Gloamwild listens when you are small. The mists curl like fingers at my ankles as I slip into an old deer path, over roots that remember better days. I catalog the plants as I go: habit, sanctuary, blue fennel for fever, dawn milk for calm. If I live, I'll need both. Their feet drum behind me. The first hand snags my cloak. I twist, slam my shoulder into his ribs, feel the breath wheeze out of him, but another catches my hair. Pain flowers hot at my scalp. I taste dirt, laughter. A knife kisses my neck. Be still. I think of the night I was cast out, of the guard dead with moonbane in his veins, of how they chose a blame that already wore my name. I don't see him at first. I feel him. The forest goes very quiet, like a drumhead under a palm. The storm shifts, the air pricks, and what's left of the moon spills silver hard enough to cut. A shadow unfurls against the tree line. Not a man, not a wolf. Both in the ways that matter to fear. His scent hits me like a secret spoken directly to my bones, cold pine, smoke, and an ache older than regret. The Alpha of Ashfin. "Let her go," he says, voice deep enough to make the leaves bow, "or learn what shape your throat takes when it begs." They brag about not fearing alphas until they meet one who doesn't like to be watched. The knife leaves my neck. Fingers loosen in my hair. Choices hang in the air like wet clothes. He moves. No. Unthreads the distance. So fast the world stutters. One rogue hits a tree. Wood groans. Another gurgles around his own breath. The third tries to shift and fails. Moonbane slows a wolf, but not a fist. He reaches for the last one, the one who held my hair, and stops when he realizes the man is using me like a shield. The dagger returns to my throat, shaky this time. "Come any closer and I open her," the rogue says. The Alpha looks at me, not at the blade. A stillness spreads in my chest like thaw. Not safety, not yet. Something stranger. Recognition that tastes like metal. True mates is a myth, Alia. My mind says it. My body knows different. "You don't want her blood on your hands," the Alpha says. "Because if she bleeds, nobody will remember your name when I finish." The knife shakes. The rogue blinks sweat. A beat. And I do the thing I promised myself I wouldn't. I trust a stranger. I drop my weight, slam my heel into his knee, twist my throat away from the blade. Pain sings. It's enough. The Alpha is suddenly there, a hard wall of heat at my back, his hand closing around the rogue's wrist with a sound like branches breaking in winter. Run, he tells the others. Carry my mercy like a curse. They run. Everyone who lives loves to. His hand lingers at my waist a fraction too long, steadying, claiming nothing. I expect him to let go. He does. Were you followed by anyone else? He asks. I don't know, I answer faintly. Do you need a medic? He says with a faint concern lingers in his tone. I am one. I reply statelily, raising a brow looking his reaction. A beat. Herbalist? He looks stunned. Which of inconvenient facts? I say, throat raw. He almost smiles. Almost. Name, he asks. I debate a moment if I should give him my real name or a fake one. Alia. I say, choosing truth. He nods once, like swearing something to himself. Blake. The name sits in me like a coal, heat growing from the inside out. I step back because I don't trust my balance. He steps back because he does. Come, he says. Iron storm will break soon. My boundary is safer than whatever was hunting you. I don't belong to your boundary, I answer, the old wound bright. No, he agrees. You belong to yourself. I'm offering shelter, not a collar. And because the Gloamwild listens, and because my legs are shaking, and because something invisible has already started writing us in the same sentence, I follow. We cross into Ashfin on a path lined with ironwood totems. The air unclenches around my lungs. The storm breaks. Rain drills the canopy, cold needles that calm my skin where fear had left it burning. We don't speak for a while. He moves like he remembers the shape of the land with his eyes closed. I move like I don't want to disturb it. The totems are scored with wolf marks and something older. Why were they after you? Blake asks at last. Because I'm small, I say, and alone. And because the world makes sport of the rare and the quiet. His jaw ticks. Their names? Rogues don't introduce themselves. They sometimes learn their names back from me, he murmurs. But it's messy. I should thank him. The words stick like seeds in my teeth. Gratitude is complicated when someone's nearness steals your breath in a good way, when the air around them feels like home you didn't ask for. True mates is a myth, we were taught. Bonds can be made, broken, healed. The moon lies to keep packs clean. Then why does my pulse listen when he breathes? We reach an outpost, a narrow cabin with a tin roof and a fire that smells like pine and war stories. His gaze flicks over my scraped knees, the bruise at my throat, the ache in my scalp where a hand had gripped too tight. His eyes darken. Sit, he says, pointing to a stool. I'll get water. And a veil. A veil? For the scent, he says curtly. Storm air helps, but... He stops, as if he's said too much. Rogues track promise like blood. He returns with a tin mug and a small vial. The water's clean. The vial smells like winter and moss. I dab it at my throat. My pulse sighs. What is it? I ask so he doesn't get suspicious. Snowveal, he says. Herbalists used to make it. Most forgot how. I don't say I didn't. I don't say I recognize the note of dawn milk under the pine. I sip instead, watch him over the rim. You shouldn't be alone out there, he states firmly. I shouldn't be many things, I say lightly. I am anyway. His eyes lift to mine. For a moment, the room tilts in a way that makes my heart flatter even more. We have omegas in Ashfin, he says carefully, who aren't wolves. Not exactly. It isn't a defect. It is a shape of strength. Tell that to the pack that cast me out. I try to sound ironic, but hurt lingers underneath. He doesn't ask which. He doesn't ask why. He just carries the answer in the way his hands flex, like holding back is a skill he doesn't enjoy. Thank you, I say finally, the words a little raw. He nods once. Nothing like a victory. Rest. Storm's thinning. I'll walk you to the line at first light if that's what you want. What do you want? Slips out before I can leash it. His breath catches. To keep you alive. And then he leaves the room like he's the one who needs air. I wake to blue morning and the sound of a wolf pacing outside. Not a question. A perimeter. The storm has scrubbed the world clean. The leaves are beaded like tears that chose to stay. My body aches in the familiar ways survival makes you pay later. I think Blake will be gone. He isn't. He stands at the doorway like a statue no one asked a sculptor to make. Eyes tired, shoulders carrying something heavy that didn't start last night. Hungry? He asks. Always, I say. But I can wait. You shouldn't. He brings me bread and berry jam and watches in a way that doesn't feel like watching. Like he's making sure the world still obeys its rules when I eat. I taste something floral and almost lose my composure over jam. Elderflower? I ask suspiciously. Found some by the river. He answers casually, which is surprising. Those don't grow by rivers unless... I study him. You moved them. His mouth does that almost smile again. I did. Why? I ask, even though I shouldn't question an alpha. So everyone could have sweetness on bad mornings. His answer left me speechless. For a cold and calculating male alpha wolf, he is kind of sweet. There are worse definitions of alpha, that's for sure. He takes me to the boundary by late morning. The ironwood totems hum soft. I turn to say, something easy. Thank you again. I'll be careful. I won't die. Instead I say, do you feel that? Because the forest does something I've never felt it do. The air folds, the moss brightens, the wind smells like pine and smoke and ache and the inside of a promise I haven't made yet. I realize I'm staring at his mouth. I look away too late. He goes still, like men do when they've been caught wanting. Alia, he says, quiet. Warning or prayer, I can't tell. We should ignore it, I whisper. Yes. We can't, I add, hating my honesty. I know. True mates, the stories say, taste each other on the air before they taste their names. The bond is a door and a blade. If you open it, it can carve you. If you don't, it can starve you. I can't be bound again, he says, and the word again is a wound. I can't be owned, I answer. Owned isn't what this is, he says a bit frustrated. Then what is it? I ask, unsure if I want to hear the answer. He doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. The space between us flickers hot like fire deciding what to burn. He steps back. I let him. We leave the door closed and pretend we don't hear it knocking. Days turn, not many. I stay near Ashvin's line, gathering, drying, crushing leaves into knowledge. Wolves come and go, some nodding like a boundary can be shared if you don't claim it. Blake keeps his distance in the way of men who understand that nearness has gravity. I hate him for that some afternoons. I want him near anyway. I learn the pattern of patrols, the scent of the beta who doesn't like my shadow on his land. Rowan, lean and watchful, loyal in a way that feels more like fear than devotion. His eyes track me like a problem that needs to be solved before it grows teeth. I find moonbane near a dead oak, a plant like a pale hand reaching up from dirt, pretty until you bleed from inside. I grind a leaf with my thumb. It stains my skin gray. "Don't touch that," says a voice. Blake. Of course he knows where I am. "I know what it is." A bitterness escapes my lips. He watches me like he's counting my breaths. "You know it better than most." "I was accused because I know it," I say. Because I had the knowledge and the opportunity, and no one needed the truth to be heavier than it was. "Who did you lose when they cast you out?" he asks hesitantly. "Everyone," I say. "But that's not the same as someone." He squats by the oak, fingers careful. "Rogues are moving moonbane through the South Marsh. We've lost 2 miners to it. They want to keep Omegas weak. They want wolves to tear themselves trying not to shift." "Varric," I say, the name sour. His eyes lift. "You know him?" "Everyone who keeps breathing alone knows the name of the man who knocks first," I whisper. He makes a sound like a promise he hasn't decided if he'll keep. "Alia," he says. "The night I found you, those men weren't hunting by accident. Someone's mapping the gaps in our line. Someone with our maps." "You're Beta?" I ask. A few hours after I first arrived here, I saw Beta Rowan moving suspiciously at the edge of the borders. I am quite good to move without making a sound after the time I leave alone in the forest. Something inside me warned me that he was up to no good. His jaw tightens. "Rowan is... careful." "Careful like a trap," I say. He doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. It happens on a night that pretends to be gentle. The storm has left the sky clean, the moon more whole than fractured. I'm in the outpost with a kettle and a page of notes. He arrives with the wind and a bruise blooming under his eye like a storm remembered him. "What did the wind say?" I ask, because I don't want to ask about his face. "North fence is holding. South is not." I brew him something strong that tastes like biting back a shout. He drinks and winces. "Good," I say. "Healing shouldn't be sweet." He laughs, the first real one. It rakes along my bones like a match. We talk small, we talk large, and then we stop. The room goes the wrong size. The kettle sighs. The fire clicks. My heart misbehaves. He steps closer. I don't move. "Tell me to leave," he says roughly. "I can't do that without lying," I answer. "And I can't stay without undoing something I swore." Sorrow hides in his gaze, but not from me. Which was? I ask calmly, encourage him to say what I already knew. Never to let the moon choose for me again, he admits. I lift my hand, the reckless part of me, the one that survived because it refuses to be small forever, and place it over his heart. His breath stalls. His hand rises like a tide and hovers near my jaw. He doesn't touch me. It's worse. It's better. Every inch of air is a nerve. We're not a collar, I say. We're a door. And doors, he says, voice breaking. Open to teeth. He steps back like it hurts, because it does. He leaves before I can ask him not to. He chooses the vow over the ache. For now. I crawl into sleep like a person hiding under a table during a war. I don't see Rowan in the morning. I see prints that don't belong to Ashvin, and a scrap of cloth snagged on an elder thorn bush, and the way the air feels before a string breaks. I pack fast. I head toward the river, plan to cross shallow and drown my scent with mud. I don't make it that far. 4 men step out of the reeds. The one who smiles has moonbane on his knife. Alia, he says, delighted. Our wanderer. Varric. I taste his name and its copper. I run. I fight. I do both better than I should. It doesn't matter. Moonbane is cruel to the wolfless too, slows muscle, fuzzes thought, unspools balance. I go down in reeds and cold water, gagging on silt and laughter that isn't mine. The last thing I hear before the dark picks me up is a howl I feel in my marrow. Rage, fear. The sound a man makes when he realizes his vows are kindling. Blake. Darkness isn't empty. It has texture. It tastes like old pennies and missed chances. I float in it, bumping against memories. The first time I learned dawn milk slows a heart enough to calm a fever. The taste of summer plums eaten fast in the rain. The way Blake said my name like a thing he was afraid of breaking. Something thrashes the world outside my skin. Boots. A door. A voice breaking on my name. Alia. Alia, answer me. I try to climb toward him, but the dark tugs me down by my ankle. Where is she? Blake roars to someone who isn't me. Tell me where you took her. To South Marsh, warehouse. Another voice chokes, and then nothing, and then the sound a throat makes when it remembers air. Find Rowan, Blake says, voice lethal soft. Bring him to me. Alpha. Rowan's gone. Silence. Then bring me his shadow, he says. I'll make it talk. I drift. I hear things. Wolves running. Water hissing against oars. A prayer said too fast to be heard, too earnest to be ignored. Hold on, he whispers, but I hear it like thunder. I wake tied to a chair in a room that smells like mold and old rope. My cheek throbs. My mouth tastes like fear chewed too long. Varric sits across from me, calm as a bad memory. Why omegas? I ask, because fear hates questions. Because omegas hold the leash when no one's looking, he says mildly. Break enough of them and packs starve. You're not breaking me. You already did it yourself, he says, amused. Wolfless? Cast out? You're a wish I didn't have to make. He leans forward, eyes gleaming. Who taught you Snowvale? No one who leaves their doors unlocked, I say.
Who hides at Ashfin's edge?
He asks again, full of anger. Birds that don't like cages, I answer. He slaps me. The room tilts.
Lever, he says softly. You are his lever.
Whose? I ask while dizziness threatens to devour me.
Varric smiles. The man coming to kill me for you.
The first crash is the door. The second is the sound of men remembering their knees. Blake doesn't enter so much as uncage the air around me. His eyes have that fever alpha get when they've chosen their ruin. Blood on his knuckles, rain in his hair. The room feels too small for what he is.
Alia,
he breathes. Not a question. A vow. Varric stands, slow, pleased.
Alpha,
he purrs.
Sweet of you to bring the storm inside.
Blake doesn't look at him first. He looks at the rope on my wrists, the window behind me, the moonbane bruise at my throat. Everything he doesn't touch trembles from wanting.
Did you hurt her?
His voice is soft, terrifying.
Only a little,
Varric says.
Then you can still hear this,
Blake replies, and moves. He is beautiful the way lightning is honest. The first man goes down with a sound that's more apology than pain. The second tries to flank and meets a wall. The third remembers his family and runs. Varric laughs and stops when Blake is suddenly too close for laughter.
Rowan sends his regrets,
Varric says brightly, fainting left.
He'll keep your fences busy while I take the heart of your house.
Blake's jaw tightens. Rowan died the moment he looked away from his alpha. His body just needs to learn it. Their fight is not graceful. It's hungry. Blake wins because he has my name in his mouth, and Varric only has his own. He pins him to the floorboards by the throat.
Look at me,
Blake says, and know you lost because you called a woman lever when she is lodestone. He doesn't kill him. He marks him with a scar that will sour every mirror. He ties him for judgment. It is worse. It is better. He's at my side before the room remembers how to breathe. Fingers, finally, at my wrists. The rope falls.
Hey,
he says, and there is so much in that small word I want to sleep inside it. I'm here, I whisper. The world sways. He catches it, and me, with hands that have been busy saving and breaking. You came, I add, breathless.
I was already coming,
he says, like that explains the universe. Back at the outpost, rain gentles the roof like fingers. He makes tea I don't drink. I watch his hands shake once. He hides them badly. You broke your vow, I say softly. He laughs without humor. No, I finally kept the right one. Which? Don't leave her. We sit too close and then closer. I tell him what Varric said. Leave her. He flinches like someone else got slapped. I don't want to be your ruin, I say.
You are not ruin,
he says fiercely.
You are reason.
My eyes sting. I blame the storm. I am wolfless, I remind him, like a door we keep walking into. His mouth softens.
No, you are something the old songs forgot to name.
I don't shift, Blake.
Do you think I only wanted your wolf?
he snarls, then softens in the same breath. Do you think the moon chose only my bones? Alia, He cuts himself off like the word is a blade. His hand finds mine. Our pulses disagree about who leads. If we open this door, I say, we can't close it without losing pieces we need. I already lost mine, he says. I'd rather choose which I keep. He leans in. He stops just before. The space is a live wire. My breath trips. Tell me to leave, he says again, hoarse. And I will. I will build watches along your road, and you will never see me unless you are in danger. I will make your life safer by not being in it. Smile, small and ruined. You talk like a man who thinks love is a siege. Isn't it? No, I whisper. It's a home. With a door, and a key, and weather that changes, but you stay. I touch my forehead to his. It feels like prayer earned. The bond doesn't explode. It settles, a weight in my chest that makes my ribs a better cage for a heart that runs. Stay, I say. I will, he breathes, even when I'm not in the room. Rowan returns to Ashfin with the dawn, or what's left of him does, caught by the very snares he laid bare. He doesn't go quietly. Men like him dislike mirrors and endings. Blake faces him in the clearing, pack assembling like thunder learning where to land. I step beside Blake, wolfless and unbowed. Gasps ripple. Whispers rush like rain. I pretend I don't hear, Omega said like empty. I hear it like open. Rowan, Blake says, you sold names to men who break them. Rowan laughs, cracked. For what? For her? He spits near my boot. Wolfless. Blake doesn't rise. He roots. For Ashfin, he says, and his voice is a bell. Which includes her. I step forward, my voice steady. You used Moonbane because you're afraid of what wolves do when they choose love over law. You forgot that law without love is a leash that strangles the hand that holds it. Rowan sneers. Pretty words for a woman with no shift. Shift isn't the only magic, I say, and kneel to the ground. The Gloamwild listens when you ask it kindly. I scatter snowveil powder mixed with dawn milk and elderflower at the base of the ironwood totem. The earth hums. The boundary sharpens like a drawn blade. The air tastes like a door closing on rot. The pack inhales as one. Some look at me with new eyes. Some look at Blake to see which way to face. He faces me. Alia, he says. Ashfin owes you. I shake my head. No debts. Only choices. Rowan is judged by pack law. Varric is traded for prisoners and banished with a brand that names him as warning. The marsh is cleansed. Moonbane burned with prayers for the soil that held it unwillingly. Wolves sleep easier. So do the small things that keep them alive. At dusk, Blake and I stand where the moss glows brightest. He looks like a promise finally said aloud. I feel like a house with the right door finally open. Are we doing this? He asks, smile like a scar turned into a story. We already are, I say simply. He laughs, the kind that warms, not burns. He takes my hand like a man mindful of weather. We speak the words we didn't need, but wanted to hear. I choose you, he says. I choose you, I answer. The bond settles deeper, no thunderclap, no shatter. Just two lives agreeing to share a roof. My chest stops bracing for the worst. It makes room for a future. Will you still plant elderflower by the river? I ask. Every spring, he says. So mornings taste like hope. And when storms come? I'll make tea too strong, he says, smiling, and hold the walls while you hold my name. The Gloamwild glows around our ankles, patient and pleased. The fractured moon looks more whole. We walk home, our home, through light that remembers every foot that ever dared to stay. And when the wind carries a distant howl that sounds like trouble, we don't fear it. We answer together.